Monday is Memorial Day. The Chattanooga Area Veterans Council is coordinating the program that will be held that day at 11 a.m. at Chattanooga National Cemetery. Mickey McCamish, retired U.S. Navy captain, is with the council. Mickey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks for having me.
Tell us more about the plans for this Memorial Day weekend here in Chattanooga.
Memorial Day is fast approaching, and the first event that will be taking place at the cemetery will be that of the placement of flags on the gravestones of each veteran laid to rest at Chattanooga National Cemetery. And there's 49,800 graves that will be placing those flags. So volunteers are needed to make that happen. Volunteers simply arrive at the cemetery at 8 in the morning on that Saturday,
May 24th.
May 24th. Parking is at the cemetery, so you can drive right in, park. We'll pre-stage the flags. They'll be in bundles of about 20. So then you pick up a bundle, go to the grave marker, 1 foot center line of the grave marker, and place the flag about 3 inches into the ground. And we've got 49,800 of those to do. And if a person can spend any amount of time, if it's an hour, if it's a half hour, if it's 45 minutes, if it's 2 hours, any amount of time is greatly appreciated. And the real benefit is this is a very special way to say thanks to the veteran, thanks for serving for our country.
Let's talk about what is planned for Memorial Day itself, Monday the 26th.
On Monday the 26th at 11 o'clock in the morning, we'll have a remembrance program at Chattanooga National Cemetery. Chattanooga Area Veterans Council is in charge of that program, and Rear Admiral Jeff Spivey will be the keynote speaker. Admiral Spivey, I know very well. He is a native of Chattanooga, a graduate of East Ridge High School. Unfortunately, he chose to go to the University of Florida, but we'll forgive him for moving in that direction. But Jeff is an outstanding naval officer. His last command was in the Military Sealift Command, which has been a very, very active command, especially with the ports that have had to be built over off Gaza, off the coast of Israel. So he's been very active his last days here in the military.
What are some things that you are thinking about as this Memorial Day approaches?
It's a day of remembrance. It's not a day of celebration, but it's a day you remember all of us that have served, remember those that have passed away, and you just do not want to forget those. It's a day of remembrance, and to say just thank you for everyone that has served and everyone that has kept our country free.
What have you been hearing from veterans, from loved ones of those who were lost in serving this country?
They look for ways to continue to serve. So veterans, after they have retired, they look for ways, just like what I do, ways to give back to the community, ways just to continue to serve. We're used to serving, and by becoming engaged in the community, doing things at the National Cemetery, just for example, it's a way to continue to serve. And that makes us veterans feel good, that we're still active, that we're still giving back to our community, and we're in the locations and doing the things that we like to do, that we continue to show appreciations for the many generations ahead of us that enable us to be able to carry on and do the activities that we now do today.
And for people who want to learn more about all of this and everything with the Chattanooga Area Veterans Council, where can they go online?
They can go online to Chattanooga Area Veterans Council, go to the website. Information will be there. And if there's any questions at all, a phone number to call would be 423-756-2212.
All right, Mickey, thanks so much.
Thank you, Ray.
And now, a few more voices on Chattanooga for Memorial Day on Monday. Mike Faust is the director of the Chattanooga and Nashville National Cemeteries. Linda Moss Mines is Chattanooga and Hamilton County historian.
Memorial Day is that day when we commemorate all of those members of our armed forces that have either died in combat or as veterans have now departed. So it's the most solemn of our holidays that we consider to be patriotic holidays. And the Chattanooga National Cemetery does it like no one else in the nation does it.
I've been here for about 2 years as a cemetery director for Chattanooga and Nashville National Cemeteries. We hold this day dear to our hearts. We have a commemoration ceremony, and we partner with the CAVC, and we do an excellent commemoration for the veterans and people's loved ones lay to rest at Chattanooga National Cemetery.
Let's talk more about the placement of the flags.
I think one of the things that most everyone, whether they've ever attended one of the commemorations or not, they know and they appreciate driving down Holtzclaw or Bailey or whatever and seeing those 49,000 flags on the cemetery. And, that's something that we feel is the least that we can do, is to say each of those names aloud, place a flag on the grave. And that's not an easy process because it is a lot of flags, and that's where the general public can get involved and kind of share their appreciation and their gratitude.
We have a lot of partnerships and stakeholders that we rely on, including the CAVC. The Boy Scouts are coming out to put out flags. The importance of these flags, we have a service to preserve the legacy of these veterans. And placing a flag 12 inches in the front of the headstone is just something important. And like Linda was saying, when you drive down the street and just see that patriotic feeling that you get, it makes you want to stop and say a name of a veteran and place a flag or a wreath.
And they'll have a chance to do that this week because beginning Wednesday, and I'm looking at Mike to make sure I'm right on my times, but beginning Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and the Boy Scouts are coordinating it, and the Chattanooga Area Veterans Council, but a lot of other partners who care so strongly about this historic cemetery will be coming out and will be placing flags. None of that would happen without the cemetery staff because it's a tremendous amount of coordination on their part. And then we will finalize putting the flags on with a brief ceremony early Saturday morning and then finish all the graves so that Monday, when the Memorial Day service begins at 11 o'clock, the cemetery will be absolutely perfect for everyone to enjoy that moment of memory.
Mike, talk more about what that moment is like. You're familiar with that here in Chattanooga, but also in Nashville.
Yes, that moment of commemoration on Memorial Day. 156 national cemeteries across the United States and Hawaii and Puerto Rico. All at the same time, we put our main flagpole. Our main flag is placed at half-staff, and then we do a commemoration, usually relevant to the local community. Chattanooga is just a very patriotic town and get a lot of turnout.
We do.
Parking is always an issue. And the CAVC has worked out some off-site parking, busing. We do keep the cemetery open as far as parking, but there's no promises as far as not having to walk long distance. So the day is a commemoration of veterans, and we do a ceremony, a full military type ceremony. And at the end of that, we raise our flag. And it's not about barbecuing and doing everything that Americans do. We take a pause out for the day to remember the legacies and the memories of these veterans that served for the freedoms that we enjoy today.
As we near this Memorial Day, what are some things that you're hearing from families, from veterans of those who served with those who were lost?
I can speak myself. Two people that come up in my mind. One is my older brother. That's a Navy veteran. He's laid to rest in Louisville, Kentucky. The other is a person I want to preserve his legacy. His name is Kenneth Clodfelter. I served on the USS Cole for 5 years, and he was a good friend of mine, and he was killed during the attack. I don't want to forget his name. He's laid to rest in Arlington National Cemetery, and this day is a day to remember my shipmates and to remember the people that did not enjoy a long life because they made that ultimate sacrifice for the United States of America.
I'm sitting here remembering the attack on the Cole, and it makes me teary-eyed because the horror of that unprovoked attack. And then I look at Chattanooga has the second largest Vietnam Veterans Association chapter in the nation. And I look at how many of my brothers and sisters who served in Vietnam are being laid to rest weekly at the Chattanooga National Cemetery because of the additional things that occurred when we turned to chemical warfare and the effects of Agent Orange and the other agents that were used. And I think having a day that we pause in the midst of all the wonders of living in a nation that's free, in a republic that we are self-governed, but we remember the cost of that freedom and that we never forget that. Gratitude, I think, is probably one of the greatest human attributes, and Memorial Day is all about gratitude.
All right, Linda, Mike, thanks so much.
Thank you.